Welcome back to Jolvie. My name's Kimmy, and this is my YouTube channel all about journaling, mental health, and minimalism, and also just overall intentional living and my current adventures studying abroad in Japan and traveling the world. So if any of that sounds cool to you, I'd love it if you subscribed. And as journaling is one of my biggest passions, I send out a journaling prompt every week to help you begin your own journaling routine. And if you would like to receive those journaling prompts, there is a link in the description box below. This video is going to be all about mindset shifts that have changed my life. And the first one is about anxiety and stress and panic, because the moment that I remember having this shift in my mind was when I was around 17. I was in the car on the way to my band practice. I was in the marching band, and my class for marching band started at 7 a.m. It's very early because I was like in the 0 period class, and I got into the terrible habit of coming late to class way too often. And of course that's not good, but the problem wasn't even just that I was late. The problem was that I would be late, and the whole ride to school I would panic, and then I would sit in my car and not be able to will myself out of the car to go to class because I knew that I would have to walk in and everyone would be looking at me and I would feel like so anxious and so ashamed. The mindset shift in this situation was one day I was like, wait a second. Me stressing out like a crazy person isn't actually gonna make me get there any earlier. So it was just like I was torturing myself for absolutely no reason. Because it's like if I'm gonna be late, I'm gonna be late. There's no reason to go, wow, oh my god, why did you do this? Oh crap, blah. And it's like this kind of realization can kind of tide over into other sort of areas of my life as well. It's just noticing when I'm panicking and being like, is this panic productive? Normally no. So I can often be like, okay, well, what would be the better use of my energy and time right now than panicking? The second mindset shift that changed my life a lot was realizing that feelings are temporary. It's good to think of them kind of like the weather, as opposed to a permanent stone pillar in your brain. Is that often what happens to me is if like a really uncomfortable emotion or feeling rolls in, I just like freeze and I'm like, oh my god, this is the worst feeling ever. I don't like to feel shame, sadness, etc., etc. And what I found is that if I do that and I'm like, ugh, and I try to like not feel it, and I like hide away and like curl into a cocoon of my own avoidance, it's never a good thing. Like I often find that if I don't resist the feeling, just feel the feeling, it doesn't actually last as long as you'd think, because our brains trick us and it's like, oh my gosh, this bad feeling, it's gonna stick around. But no, it won't stick around if you let yourself feel it. You can just talk to yourself like you would talk to a younger kid or something and be like, it's okay, I know this hurts, it's a valid feeling to feel, but you don't have to trick yourself into thinking it's never going to go away, because it will. And the next mindset shift that changed my life was about makeup. I used to wear makeup pretty much every day. I lived in Los Angeles for a while, and Los Angeles is a very image-focused city. I'm very happy I managed to leave that place because it was toxic for me. I feel like some people, they might like it there and it might work for them, but for me it was just no good. But also just not even in the context of Los Angeles, it's just in the context of the world. I remember I had this moment where I thought about my friends, and like if you think of your own friends, you've probably seen your friends with makeup and without makeup, and you probably don't feel like they really look all that different, you know? Like, of course there's some people who like literally paint their face on so they look like a completely different person, but you know, normally when I see my friends, you know, with a bit of face makeup and some eye makeup and, you know, a little bit of lipstick, I'm like, oh, they look like, you know, they made an effort in their makeup today, but I still think they look like themselves. And then when I went on a backpacking trip to Southeast Asia and then eventually ended up studying abroad, I ended up studying in Australia, I didn't bring my makeup with me, and when I got to Australia, the makeup was so expensive, like even at drugstores, that I couldn't bring myself to purchase the makeup, so I didn't buy it. And then since then I pretty much have never worn any makeup, except for like on these very rare occasions. I think I briefly bought some really crappy mascara or something like that, but I don't have it anymore. So now I don't wear makeup. And I think the big thing about that was that I found that makeup is a lot about familiarity and comfort. And if you wear makeup every day of your life, you start to get really used to this sort of perfected, airbrushed version of your face. So then when you're not wearing it, you're like, oh my gosh, I look so bad. But then I found that when I stopped wearing makeup when I was traveling, I got really used to my own face. I was like, oh, this is what I look like. It's normal. It's like I'm used to it. So like my under eye circles and my like light eyebrows and stuff like that, they used to really bother me, but now they don't really bother me because I'm used to what I look like. And yeah, so the next mindset shift that really changed my life was also about appearance. It's kind of related to makeup. Is, you know how a lot of people, especially women I think, they try to post only photos of themselves that look perfect all the time. And I would say I'm still not completely out of this. Like I'm not able to like see a photo of myself where I feel like I don't look my best and go, yay, post that to the internet, because obviously no. But what really got me was that I don't want to always be trying to fake my appearance. You know what I mean? Like, if I see a photo of someone else that I know, like any photo of them, they always just look like themselves. But you know, when I see a photo of me, I'm very picky about which photos I think look good and which ones make me look terrible, and like, oh, I can't look like that, that doesn't look like me at all. And I've just kind of gotten to the point where I'm like, that's me in those photos. Like, it doesn't matter like my opinion on the image, you know what I mean? Like, if the image is captured of me, that's me, just like it is of any other person. And when I see a photo of any other person and then I see the actual person, I'm like, oh yeah, that's them. That's like not any sort of unflattering photo. I mean, there are some very unflattering photos out there, but I just found that that kind of took me away from this kind of thing where I felt like I was like, I don't want to always be kind of performing through photos, like trying to select the most gorgeous photo and having that be the way that I live my life. And that kind of ties into the whole healthy living and healthy like fitness moving, as well as that instead of trying to put all my energy into trying to pick the best photo and Photoshop my face so it looks all chiseled and stuff, instead I'm like, if I don't like how a certain part of myself looks, like in healthy limits of course, that is like doable through healthy living, then I can be like, well, instead of putting all my energy into changing the photo, I would rather put my energy into just being the healthiest version of me, so that health shines out in photos and I don't have to try so hard. I can just be myself, not wear makeup, wear normal clothes, and I'll still look beautiful because I'm taking care of myself. You know what I mean? So those are the other two mindset shifts, were around healthy living and like consuming good foods, and also fitness. Is when I was younger, I hated running. I hated physical activity. We were in like PE in school and I was the slowest runner, and I always felt really, really awkward about that. And basically I ended up failing my final 1 year of PE because I couldn't run like this final running exam fast enough. You're supposed to be able to run 2 miles in under 20 minutes, and I ran the first mile in more than 10 minutes. So I was like, well, I'm not gonna be able to run any faster than this, so I'm not gonna be able to do it. And so I just ended up like walking to the other mile. And my teacher got all pissed at me, and I was just like, I hate running, I hate exercise. And I feel like that's a real shame that this happens to a lot of people nowadays in PE, that they fall out of love with exercise, they never learn to enjoy it. Because I've found that since then, coming into exercise from a place of love and enjoyment, or not so much, like sometimes I don't feel like exercising, to be completely honest. But like, I found that there are types of exercises that I like, and I've learned that it actually makes me feel really good to do that and take care of my body. So I found that that was really helpful. And the other mindset shift was falling in love with plant-based nutrition and learning a lot about that side of the health world, because while I am not a vegan, I've learned a lot about the way foods are digested, and well, I'm not a plant-based eater. I do predominantly eat plant-based, so I've learned that for me, I feel the best when I eat predominantly plant-based foods, and I think that this was something that just never even came into my into my brain ever until I learned about it in the past few years, that if I focus on eating predominantly whole foods, like whole foods in their whole form, like potatoes and vegetables, and like I'll throw in an egg here and there, so I'm not actually a vegan, but you know, like fish and eggs and whole plants, and not always shoveling in lots of foods that are like really processed, that's what makes me feel the best. And I found that in this mindset shift, that I realized that there's so many beautiful healthy foods that I find incredibly satisfying and enjoying, and I find incredibly satisfying and enjoyable. They're not like, oh, I'm eating broccoli every day. No, it's like I've actually found that when I eat healthy, there's healthy foods that I find so enjoyable and make me feel good afterwards, whereas if I eat something that's really unhealthy, I'll normally feel really bad afterwards. And for me, I found that that's just not worth it most of the time. Like, of course I'll indulge occasionally, but I've just found that healthy living is worth it. Like, it's so worth it. And on that kind of thing as well, the last one is just trusting my own judgment. The mindset shift with this is definitely still in shifting mode, but I'm trying to, my mindset shift right now is that it's okay to trust my own judgment, and if there's like a twinge in my stomach that says I don't feel like this is right for me, then I can say no, or I can say this doesn't, like, I don't want to do this, or I don't want to eat this, or I don't want to do this thing, you know what I mean? Like, this is in the context of my current experience at university. A lot of people here love to party, and I've chosen not to party, and as a result I have probably been a bit more isolated and I haven't made as many friends. But I've learned that if I go somewhere, if I'm at any sort of partying situation or something like that, I always have the choice and ability to say, I can leave now, and that's fine. And I found that if I do that, I used to feel really guilty and like, oh, I'm being such a grandma right now, you know what I mean? But I'm trying to just go with my intuition and flow and not need to always get opinions of others to feel validated on that. Like, if I want to do something, I'll just do it and not be like, oh, but I have to ask their opinion first. Like, this is what I want to do, because if I'm always asking, hey, do you think this is a good idea, then there's always that possibility that that could have been a great idea for me, but maybe that person would be like, no, and then I wouldn't do it, and then I might have missed out on something cool. So I think I'll cut it off there. But I hope you guys liked it, and I would also love it if you subscribed and signed up for my journaling prompts, because that's a project that I'm super excited about, and I'd love it if you guys received them. So thank you guys, and I'll see you again next time. Bye!